Okay, hello Math 8. Here are some tips for solving equations with variables on both sides. So the first one we're going to do is a simpler version. And so looking at the steps that you just saw in this slide, the first step that I said was make sure each side of the equation is simplified, meaning all like terms are combined, any multiplication, distribution that needs to happen gets done. And so in this first example, if you look closely, you have no terms that can be combined. So we would consider each of these sides to already be simplified. So that step is out of the way. The next step, because we have variables on both sides, is to use an opposite operation to make one of the variables go away. Now I always like to make positive numbers if I can. So I'm going to look at this one right here, and I want to make that disappear. And the way to make it disappear, because it's a term, is to add the opposite of it. So the opposite of negative x is x, so we're just going to add x. And we can add that to the other side, and so we're following our rule. What you do to one side, you do the other. And notice how I lined the terms up so that they're going to be combining with like terms. So on the left side, the 2x plus cx gives us 3x. We still have this minus 3, which I can also write as 3x plus negative 3, equals. Now these go away, and that's what I wanted to happen, because I chose to add the opposite, equals 3. Okay, so in that one step, what we've done is we've managed to go from variables on both sides of the equation to a variable on one side of the equation. And now what's left is the kind of equation that you already have practiced solving. And reminder, I want you to solve it using the showing what you're doing on each side of the equation. So here we have plus negative 3. Well, we can do the opposite of that. And so instead of adding a negative 3, we can add a positive 3 to both sides. That'll make these cancel. That's what we want to do. And we just have to do that to both sides. So what's left now is 3x equals 6. The final step is undoing the multiplication. So the inverse of times 3 is divide by 3. Do that to both sides. 3's cancel. You're left with x equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, so that's what it looks like when both sides are already simplified. The second example we'll look at here, as you can see, the left side of the equation is not simplified, the right side is. So before we do anything, we need to make sure that the left side is simplified. And I'm going to go through and change this to plus a negative, because we have distribution to do. And so the distribution going on is right here, distributing the negative 1 through those parentheses. So I'm just going to show that. That's plus negative x plus, now a negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, so that becomes positive 2. And we can fill in the rest, that nothing changed. Okay, so we finished our multiplication step, the distributive property, and now we still have combining like terms. So the 3x and the negative x can combine, and the 3 and the 2 can combine. 3x plus negative x, that's a negative 1x. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2x. Then our constants, 3 plus 2, give us 5, equal 3x plus 4. Okay, so in our checklist, step 1 was to simplify both sides. Now both sides are simplified. Step 2, we have variables on both sides, so we need to get rid of the variable on one side of the equation. I'm just going to subtract 3x to make this one go away, and I have to do that here too. It does cancel, which is what I wanted. 2x minus 3x is negative x plus 5 equals 4. Now we have to get rid of the 5 by doing the opposite, which is subtract 5. Now we have negative x equals negative 1. Now, I I want to make it really clear, this negative sign here means we're not done yet. You can't leave your answer as negative x equals negative 1. We want to know what is x. So right now we have negative 1 technically being multiplied by x. That's what the negative sign means. So we can undo that by dividing by negative 1 and do that on both sides. The negative 1s cancel. On the other side, negative 1 times negative 1 is, or divided by, same thing, is positive 1. So we're going to be left with x equals 1. I know that is a lot of steps. If you aren't organized in the way I'm showing you, you are very likely to make a mistake. You can tell that as these get more complicated. It's hard to do it in your head. It's much easier if you learn these methodical steps, even though it's hard at first. It makes the problems much simpler as you get practiced on this. You are going to have some practice in the next few slides.